Today we're going to get to see a completely justified defensive shooting and also a gunfight that was completely avoidable. Hi everyone, welcome to today's research-informed defensive lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Correa. Today's video comes to us from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Today's video is brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video. We actually have in this one both dash cam here from the off-duty Milwaukee police officer's truck, as well as some surveillance footage that I haven't seen very many people talking about. I'm going to show you both. I will come back and show you the surveillance footage, but what's about to happen here is you're going to see a merge here in just a second because there is some construction coming up ahead, and you're going to see our off-duty officer not yield and what happens from that. Let's listen in so we can hear what happens on the dash cam.
Fuck are you doing? Stay down on the ground. Don't move. Walk and please. Stay on the ground.
Like I said, it was also recorded on a surveillance video, and you can see it here as they get out. Now, I want you to notice this is kind of really zoomed in on the surveillance video. So the resolution is not great. So you see the guy get out. Elijah Wicks is his name. And our officer's name hasn't been released that I've seen. And you see there some commotion and then a gunfight begins. Now watch what happens. What you're going to be able to see here is Wicks goes around to the front of his car. The officer goes around to the back of his truck, and you can see him kind of lean out from the back of his truck. Wicks leans out from the front of his car. The officer is better at these longer distances. He gets hits where Wicks does not. You see Wicks sit up for a minute there and then lay down. He didn't make it through this one. He died. Interestingly, go read the news stories that I've linked in the description, and you can see that originally the family was really frustrated about this one and was talking about, that they wanted justice for their loved one. And then they watched the dash cam, and their lawyer put out a statement that said, nope, the officer's actions was justified. Very rare to hear the family of a deceased say that. And they said, nope, the officer's actions were justified. What Elijah did was completely out of character. Apparently he was supposed to go later that day to the funeral of his uncle, and they don't know why he acted the way he did, but he just lost his dang mind. And the family said that he did, and they declared that it was just, and they asked for the dash cam to get released early to the public in order to quell any rumors as to what people were saying had happened. Good on them for that. Hey, if you're watching today's video on YouTube, you might be noticing that Wednesdays now, we are not posting a video here on YouTube. Instead, they are app exclusive. So if you want those on Wednesdays, make sure that you go in the ASP Unlimited app to get those. Join us over there. There's a ton of additional content over there that you're just not getting here on YouTube. We love you here on YouTube. We're not planning on leaving YouTube, but for all the extras, the seminars, the full-length classes, the weekly exclusive and analysis of videos over there, please join us. I want to talk tactics here from the surveillance video. We'll talk about some of the other stuff from the dash cam video, but I want you to notice, we don't get to see a whole lot here, right? So be cautious when you see a surveillance video like this, because there's not a whole lot of detail in it. And originally the guy that posted this, the link that I have in the description, said, oh, it looks like the officer swung first. That's not the case. So when you got low resolution like this, be very careful. A couple other things you really want to pay attention to here is our officer gets and uses cover. It's very rare that we see cover show up in these private citizen kind of gunfights. And yes, he's an off-duty Milwaukee cop, but there's no way the other guy knew that. And he's acting here in a private capacity, not in a law enforcement capacity. So this is like a Brazilian off-duty getting in a gunfight that we see on the channel pretty regularly, right? So it's pretty rare that we see cover come into play, but it does happen. So knowing how to use it, really important, and knowing not to give up the advantage of your cover, also very useful and very worthwhile, right? So when you have that, back off your cover a little bit, and then once you've leaned out to own some space, don't play whack-a-mole and jump back into it. Once you own that space, and you've already paid for it. And the officer, I think, did a pretty good job of that. Also note the distances of the shooting here. We're talking about 2.5 to 3 car lengths. So we're talking about 16, 18, 20 yards here of needing marksmanship, and in a totally justified private citizen style defensive shooting here. 18 to 20 yards. So I hear sometimes, well, John, if you shoot somebody who's more than 7 yards away, you'll go to prison. That's total hogwash. They can be a deadly threat to you like this guy was from much farther distances, and he wants to continue to gunfight for some reason. And so totally justified deadly force here at 18 to 20 yards, and it has nothing to do with the fact that the man is a police officer and everything to do with the fact the guy hit him in the face with a gun. We'll talk about that some more in the legalities portion of it. So having those skills, knowing how to use your cover, knowing how to get hits, and having the skills to do so at significant distance, I think is really smart, because again, you don't get to set where the gunfight happens. It's the other person who gets to set where the gunfight happens. I also love here that our officer, at least initially, doesn't approach him. You heard him on the dash cam just hollering at him from a distance. I think as a private citizen especially, your mission is to break contact with a deadly threat. It's not to close with and take them into custody. An on-duty cop closes with lawbreakers, takes them into custody, but not in a private citizen capacity. Stay away, get on the phone with 911, get the cavalry there, let them get the guy into custody. Let the on-duty police officers do that. Stay away from the guy if at all possible. I mean, of course, if you had loved ones in the car, that would change a little bit of what you'd have to do, because you got to think about their protection as well. But he's in the car by himself. Just stay the heck away from it, I think, is the lesson here and the answer here. And stay away from this guy that you just had a gunfight with. Once he's down, break contact, get yourself to a place of safety, and then wait for the police to show up. Yes, you want to win the fight to 911. Now, of course, a lot of us stick our phone in our console or something. You may end up having to get to your truck and into the truck to get to your car. Now, the big lesson out of this one is I want to note here that this guy decides he is going to merge into the off-duty cop's lane. It is not illegal to not yield your lane to somebody who wants to get into it. It is the responsibility of the merging person to yield to existing traffic. So it's not illegal at all what the officer did here. But muff me for a second here if you're worried about language, but because what the cop did here was kind of a dick move, right? Like, I mean, I drive in Phoenix, Arizona. It's some of the worst drivers in America, and I've driven all over America and all over the world. I'll stand by that statement. And listen, you got to just allow people to merge. You got to say, hey, wait a minute. I'm not going to get in a potential gunfight over the right of way. There are plenty of rights worth dying for, but the right of way is not one of them, friends. So just let people merge, okay? And again, he's not illegal. Nothing he did here was illegal, okay? So I'm not claiming that the officer did wrong, but he escalated a conflict when, again, the lifestyle of a good, sane, sober, moral, prudent person is a lifestyle of de-escalation, escape, and evasion. So guy wants to get in, just let him in. You don't know what kind of bad day he's having and where he's willing to take it, like smack you in the face with a gun and shoot at you. So the best bet here would have been to simply let him merge, and then that way you wouldn't get in the traffic fender bender, which is kind of the impetus for him to then freak out. Now, who's at fault here? Elijah Wicks is at fault here. He's the one who broke the law. He's the one who was the aggravator here. He initiated the problem. He aggravated the problem. He initiated the aggravated assault. So he had choices here too, right? And again, you feel like, man, I'm going to take it personally offensive that this guy won't let me merge, and I'm going to smack him in the face with my gun to let him know how serious I am. Don't do that crap. Because you might run into somebody, A, who is armed themselves, B, better with a gun than you, C, is willing to defend their life, and he did in this case, and it cost him his life. So that's not good, sane, sober, moral, or prudent either. And again, his parents said this was very out of character for him, and I believe them. But which is why we have to act in line with our character at all times, and we have to be good, sane, sober, moral, prudent people. And again, the right of way is not a right worth dying for. Instead, let the guy pass. If you need to vent steam in the car and call him names or whatever, fine. But none of this is okay from what Wicks did. This is completely unacceptable behavior and is not in line with what we would expect a decent person to do. So we want to be better than this. Now, again, next thing I want to talk about here, and I hate that I really even need to talk about this. So he gets out of the car. Don't have to get out of the car in order to mess with somebody, okay? So yes, you're going to have to, exchange information, insurance information at this point. You've been in a car accident. Okay, fine. They happen, right? I got rear-ended by a drunk. It cost me 2 surgeries on my low back. My commission as a naval officer totally changed the arc of my professional life, quite frankly. But doing so, you got to recognize it is a traffic collision, right? Don't take it personally. Make sure everybody's okay. And just, call the insurance company. That's why we pay insurance premiums. And also when somebody comes out kind of hot at you, you don't have to get out of your car to address them. You can simply stay in your car with the windows up and the door locked, and then exchange your information from there. Now, I know a bunch of people are going to give this off-duty officer a ton of crap because he's overweight. All right, fine. I get it. As somebody that I took those slings and arrows from YouTube for years, when I weighed more than I do now, I still think you can be a great human and not be in the world's best physical condition. Now, him as a cop, does he need to do that for his police work? Okay, fine. I agree with you there. He needs to be able to fulfill his mission. But let's keep comments on point here, okay? He actually performed admirably well, took that punch really well, and handled his business, right? So sometimes big boys can bang too. Although I'm a big proponent today of physical fitness, and I think it's a good thing. Let's not give him all the crap in the universe about it, okay? And keep the comments civil, because let's keep them on topic, all right? Now, as he goes, what would even get him to here? And I want you to notice here, I've zoomed in so that you can see, he just pulls a gun out of his pocket and smacks him upside the head with it. Why? Because he's taken this personally, is my guess. And I'm guessing here because we'll never know. He died. We don't know why he did it. But the best guess here is he was offended. This guy didn't give me the lane. He caused this accident. Now he's going to cost me a bunch of money. This is all his fault. I'm going to whack him in the face with my handgun and show him who's boss and show him that he needs to listen to me, that he's made a big mistake. So this is social violence is what this is. This is one of the reasons I say de-escalate, escape, and evade, because you don't know that guy that you held your right away, what he's willing to do. This is not good, sane, sober, moral, or prudent. This makes this man into an aggressor. This is aggravated assault. Even if it's not a gun, you smack somebody in the face with a hammer like this, with something hard and metal of any kind. If you hit somebody in the face with something hard and metal, it's highly likely to put them into the hospital. That by itself is an aggravated assault, highly likely to cause him hospitalization, hence great bodily injury, and therefore would justify a use of deadly force. Now, I want to note here, let's note our officer starts to get his gun out, and I want to see this here. There's a little small detail. You notice that he got his shirt caught in his draw? It happens occasionally, right? If you go to firearms training classes, you're occasionally going to foul your draw on your shirt. And also, he has a pistol-mounted optic on his pistol, and some people are going to be like, oh, see, man, he shouldn't have that optic because it's snagged. But I want you to note that he just clears it by pushing through it. Very common. We see that all the time. So maybe practice that just a little bit of just pushing through when you're clearing your cover garment. And also practice clearing your cover garment fully, right? Getting it way up and out of the way. Now then, I want to stop here just a second because speed matters. Is speed or accuracy more important in a gunfight? The answer is both, and I don't want to compromise of speed and accuracy. I want a big full bucket of both, because I want you to notice at about 1.3 seconds here, our off-duty officer still has his gun coming up, and our perpetrator here, Wicks, has his gun up and on target. First one to get an anatomically significant hit almost always wins. Thankfully, Wicks has only got one hand on the gun, and that causes his first shot to miss. and to not be a good hit. Our officer, on the other hand, gets two hands on the gun. He starts getting hits right away, and that is the difference. Accuracy at speed matters. Remember, it's really hard to miss fast enough to win a gunfight. Wicks missed first. He didn't win the gunfight, but it's real easy to hit slow enough to lose a gunfight. Our officer did hit, but with enough speed to win his gunfight. So which one do you want, speed or accuracy? Yes, you want a bucket full of both. Get to the range, get to some training classes until you're good with both. Now, our officer finally gets his gun up and on target right about 1.5 seconds. And for a draw from concealment to a hit, 1.5 second draw from concealment to an anatomically significant hit is the professional standard. I would say our officer here meets the professional standard, got the gun up, out, moving, and a shot broke. Now, I can't guarantee you whether he got a hit or not, okay? That's the one thing I cannot guarantee you because I haven't seen the autopsy. I can't tell you where the shots went in to Wicks. But I can tell you that he got the shot up and broke. And listen, that's a very good thing. Notice he keeps on firing here. I will say this third shot that goes through the car is not my favorite, not because it's not legally justified, but because it's a wasted round, right? So he had about 3/4 of a second from his last shot. And that just wastes a bullet. Now, I think it's in the direction of where the threat he expects that guy to be, but I think we should be able to see more, especially because he's using a pistol-mounted optic, and recognize I don't have him in my sights. I have a car in my sights, so I ain't gonna send it, right? Because I might need that round later. That might be important. It wasn't in this particular case. Now, our officer goes to the back of his car. Watch here again as Wicks comes around to the side and is gonna poke his head out, and guess what? Our officer's already paid by getting behind his cover, but seeing around that corner so that he is ready when he pops out. And our officer then gets hits. Can you get fast and accurate hits at the 16 to 20 yards that this gunfight is? I think the answer to that for most people is no. And you're probably in those most people, right? It takes some serious skill to get hits at some modicum of speed. And I know I hear internet commandos say how good they are with a gun. And then I challenge them to put it on video with them with some accuracy standards with a target and a timer, and they just won't do it. So get out there, get to class, get to the range, and make sure that you are up to that day, because you may need that much accuracy at that much speed on that day to save yourself. So here the gunfighting started about 5 or 6 yards, finished at about 18 yards. And that is a pretty significant thing. So I want you to pay attention to the fact that a lot of people say, well, John, you don't need a pistol mounted optic because, you know, the gunfights are shorter. They perpetuate the myth that the average gunfight is 3 shots at 3 yards in 3 seconds. That's a total myth, by the way. There's no truthfulness to that at all. Here, we saw the shooting start at about 5 to maybe as much as 7 yards, and then open up to need good, accurate fire at maybe 16 to 18 yards. So, and all in a justified manner. So I want you to get really good in that 3 to 7 yard range first, but then once you are good in that 3 to 7 yard range, you very well may be in a spot like this where that 16 to 18 yard range is important. Remember, we recently had one on the channel of a citizen who was shooting at a guy who was shooting at him from across the street at about 18 to 20 yards. Eli Dickin, he was at 42 yards in his totally justified deadly force encounter. So those are relatively rare, uncommon, I should say, not necessarily rare, but not unheard of, as we see here. So let's just say here, I think this was totally a justified gunfight, okay? I think he's the off-duty officer totally justified in what he did. Elijah Wicks completely unjustified in everything he did. I also think this one was a completely avoidable. And so let's be a good, sane, sober, moral, prudent person and drive like a good, sane, sober, moral, prudent person. Let people merge. If somebody won't let you merge, just wait for them and get in behind them. Let it go, friends, because otherwise you may end up the dude who is laying on the sidewalk and about to meet Jesus, or you may be the guy who has to deal with the aftermath ramifications of this. Now, I don't think our off-duty officer is going to have any legal problems afterwards. I think, first of all, he's going to get an awful lot of deference as a law enforcement officer. I think the district attorney's office, I think the investigations and the detectives will give him a good bit of deference. And I think that what we see here on video, combined with whatever it was he is going to say in his statement, shows that this was truly justified use of deadly force. Even the family said as much. So I just don't think he'll have any legal ramifications from this one whatsoever, certainly based on who he is. But he does have the social ramifications, the emotional and spiritual ramifications of that, and the ongoing challenges of that. And what he could have done really is just walk away from it, not have to worry about fixing his truck, not have to deal with the several $1,000s worth of truck repairs and getting his name in the news and all that stuff that he had to here. So a lifestyle of de-escalation, escape, and evasion, very good. If you're forced into an unavoidable gunfight, man, you have skills like this to cover your ass.